Yes, we are in the middle of May, but of course, we always have time to talk about the NFL, and there is always something to talk about. Right now, we're going to talk about the top 5 NFL players with the most to prove. Our very good friend, two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden has put together a list of his top 5, and we're actually going to start with number 1. And I am not too surprised to see this name at the top. I don't think a lot of people will be either. Trevor Lawrence coming in at number 1. He has dealt with questionable coaches. He has dealt with injuries, but now he is seemingly healthy. Travis Hunter is there. Why is he coming in at number 1 for you, B-Mac?
Because when he came out of Clemson years ago, many people felt like he was the most talent quarterback-ready prospect that we've seen since Andrew Luck. And so far as he gets ready for his 5th year, he hasn't lived up to the billing. 5 years in the National Football League. This will be his 5th year. Lem Cohen will be his 3rd coach. The first year, there was a lot going on under Urban Meyer. But they fired Urban Meyer. In came a Super Bowl winning coach in Doug Peterson. It didn't work out well. A year ago, Trevor Lawrence wasn't healthy, played in 10 ball games, but only completed 60% of his passes, a career low. 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. When you look at the changing of the guard now, with new head coach Lem Cohen coming into the fold, now you have to deliver. Because why that's important? Because you look at what Coach Cohen did with Baker Mayfield. A year ago, Baker Mayfield completed 70% of his passes, among the league's best at the quarterback position. Threw for 41 touchdowns. That was 2nd in the National Football League. Threw for 4,500 yards. That was 3rd in the National Football League. And one would say, in terms of pure quarterbacking talent, Trevor Lawrence is a more superior player when it comes to quarterbacking talent. So if Lem Cohen was able to make magic happen with Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, no excuses anymore. And to add a cherry on top, Jacksonville wanted to add more to the offensive arsenal. They decided to trade up to get, who you mentioned, Travis Hunter, the most coveted player in the draft in 2025. So when you factor all of these things into the equation about what was not happening right in Jacksonville and some of the things they've done to rectify those issues, no more excuses for Trevor Lawrence. Now you have to deliver.
So Trevor Lawrence coming in at number 1. And as you mentioned, he was called a generational talent going into the draft. Someone who is highly sought after, not called a generational talent, also quarterback Anthony Richardson. This will be his 3rd season in the league. Look, we saw him start last season. We saw him get benched at some point. It looks like he did get a little bit more maturity about him. And this is someone who's been touted for his athleticism. But B-Mac, what do you need to see from him to keep him in that starting position?
Number 1, staying healthy. That has been an issue as well. You talked about some of the inconsistencies in between the lines, but the inability to stay healthy has really hampered the development and growth for Anthony Richardson. Outside of that, he got to find that consistent stride. You look at what he's done in 2 years, a very, very small sample size. The most common theme that has been associated with Anthony Richardson has been inconsistencies. He completed 47% of his passes a year ago. That was a league low. In the red zone, he only completed 36% of his passes. That ranked 39th amongst qualifying quarterbacks. Not good at all. In 11 games, he threw 12 interceptions. So he's basically guaranteed to throw an interception per game a year ago. That's not good. So because of all those concerns and those issues, they decided to add competition to the fold there in Indy. In comes Daniel Jones, and they made this known to the public. This will be a legit quarterback competition. So for Anthony Richardson, the reason why he's number 2 on my list, when you're drafted top 5 like he was years ago, expectations are lofty. You have to find a way to reach those expectations, and most importantly, find a way to show the organization that you're still a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Because if he loses this job throughout camp and Daniel Jones is the day 1 starter, now he's waiting for something to happen for him to get another opportunity to be a starting quarterback for the Colts. So this is a very, very telling offseason for Anthony Richardson. This will be a telling training camp for him because not only is he fighting for his job in terms of being a starting quarterback, but he's also fighting in terms of the NFL, showing the league that he has starter capabilities.
And I'm curious about going into the season. I mean, would you say right now it is his starting position to lose, or is this going to be a true quarterback competition over the course of the summer?
This is a true quarterback competition, which backs my point with Anthony Richardson being number 2 with the top 5 players that has the most to prove. Because this isn't like Anthony Richardson from a year ago. It was his job. And if he lost it, which he did throughout the year. This is a legit competition. One player get an opportunity to run with the ones on one day. The next player gets an opportunity to run with the ones on the next day. That's a legit competition. So every day will matter for Anthony Richardson. And the one issue that he's fighting against, Daniel Jones, you can say whatever you want to say about him, Amanda, in terms of what did not work out well in New York. He has an abundance of experience compared to Anthony Richardson, and that could play a major part in DJ finding a way to hit that consistent stride and do so in a more consistent way than Anthony Richardson throughout camp.
And Daniel Jones, look, as you said, say all you want about his time in New York. This is somebody who was sought after to get him on his team because of the things that he can bring to them. Let's go to number 3, and it's kind of a different position. Very different story, or very similar storyline, I should say, to Anthony Richardson, also drafted number 4 overall, also touted for his athleticism. Kyle Pitts with the Falcons, tight end. Why is he in your top 5, coming in at number 3?
Because when you play the tight end position and you're drafted top 5, that usually doesn't happen. I mean, Brock Bowers was one of the best tight ends a year ago in the National Football League, and he was drafted outside the top 10. So that tells you the expectations that came with Kyle Pitts when he was drafted number 4 years ago by the Atlanta Falcons. His rookie year, over 1,000 yards. Since then, hasn't lived up to the billing. A year ago, over 600 yards. That was 4th in the receiving category for the team in the Atlanta Falcons. That's not living up to the billing. And get this, he failed to surpass 55 receiving yards in any game after week 8. He didn't even hit the 60-yard mark at any game, in any game after week 8. That's not Kyle Pitts type of production when you look at the talent and the athleticism that he had that led to him being a number 4 overall pick in his draft. So now is the time. They picked up this 5th-year option. They believe he still has that potential that can deliver week in and week out, and that's what they're hoping to see. Because you can say whatever you want to say about the up and down quarterback play when Kirk Cousins was in the lineup a year ago. Well, that up and down play did not hurt Drake London. It didn't hurt Darnell Mooney. All the other guys, receivers, they made plays. Kyle Pitts, he has to find a way to be more engaged in the offense to live up to the pick that he was years ago and being a top 5 selection playing the tight end position.
Drafted 4th overall by the Falcons back in 2021. We are going through BMAC's top 5 NFL players with the most to prove, and these last 2 are very interesting. I'm really excited to talk about him. Coming in at number 4, Christian McCaffrey. When healthy, this is the number 1 player people are going after when it comes to fantasy. They would like to draft him, or I should say he was the number 1 player that people were going after. BMAC, is it just injuries that is putting Christian McCaffrey on this list for you?
Yes, you said it. When healthy. When healthy. Heck, when I studied, I made good grades. But when I didn't, I didn't. That's the issue with Christian McCaffrey when healthy. I mean, he's been in the league for 9 years. 5 seasons in the National Football League, he's been dealing with some type of injuries that prevented him from being in the lineup week in and week out. He just finished his 3rd season in San Francisco. He's only played 1 full season there, and that was the Super Bowl run when he put up video game-like numbers. The other 2 years, he's been on the sideline. A year ago, he only played in 4 games. No rushing touchdowns, only 200 yards. So when he was in the lineup, he wasn't the vintage Christian McCaffrey. Now he's going to be a year older as he gets ready for his 10th season, and now it's all about, can he stay healthy? Because you mentioned something coming into this segment about CMC. When healthy, some people feel like he's a legit top fantasy running back option. That could be the case, but also, you know who else is a legit top fantasy running back option? If you draft Christian McCaffrey, whoever the backup is for San Francisco, Isaac Lindo, because that's the mindset with us as fantasy football players, fantasy players, and fans of the game, because we know who Christian McCaffrey is, but it's almost like, if you draft him in fantasy, you probably need to draft his backup running back late in the fantasy draft, because you don't trust that Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, because that has been the biggest issue for him throughout his outstanding NFL career. So that's why he's number 4 on my list, because the time is ticking, he's getting older, but also, can he stay healthy? Because that is a major concern for any San Francisco 49ers fan or any fan that's a fan of fantasy that might have Christian McCaffrey aspirations to draft him. And either or, they're tied to the same concern.
Might as well draft that backup while you're on it. BMAC putting CMC on alert right now, putting him on notice. One other player, top 5 most to prove in the NFL, coming in at number 5. Coming from your former team, not with them any longer, with the Dallas Cowboys. You know him well. You're putting people on notice. George Pickens. Why does he come in at number 5?
This is solely about the money side of things. George Pickens, when you got traded to Dallas, the Steelers kind of did you a favor, right? Number one, you got traded to another storied franchise. Number two, you're going into a better quarterbacking situation with the Dallas Cowboys with a healthy Dak Prescott, and you're going into a better situation in terms of who is playing alongside you in CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb will be the best wide receiver that George Pickens has ever played with in his early professional career. So now there shouldn't be any excuses because we've seen your talent, right? We've seen you do a lot considering the up and down quarterback play that you were a part of in Pittsburgh. Now you're going into a situation where stability is there at the quarterback position. This offense has been known to run and do numbers when they've been healthy. So George Pickens, if you want to be in that high-level wide receiver market, money market in terms of per-year salary north of $26 million per year, this is your year. You're coming into your 4th year. For a guy like you, the talent that he has, you should be paid now, but you're not paid just yet. But guess what? This is the ideal scenario for you when you look at the quarterback and the wide receiver that you're playing alongside, where you can have one-on-one opportunities to cash in big time, like some of the other wide receivers that we've seen when it comes to their contracts.
Really quickly, since it is the Cowboys, if we were doing teams with the most to prove, do the Cowboys make your top 5? Because I feel like they have to be toward the very top.
I mean, for talking points, you can always have the Cowboys being one of the top 5 teams most approved because their owner is always giving us bulletin board material. Every year's the Cowboys year. So for sake, in terms of clicks, yeah, every year, because Jerry Jones makes it known every year he believes they should have a legit chance to win a championship. So until we see otherwise, yes, until they get to that sticky Lombardi moment, they have the most approved, one of the top 5 teams most approved, no question.
All right, BMAC, Bryant, McFadden, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us here on a Monday. More from BMAC, all of our NFL experts. Keep it right here on CBS Sports HQ Spotlight on CBS Sports Network for all of your news, highlights, scores, as it says right there. It's all here.